Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students, and the lecture of your MS course Semiconductor Electron Devices. You must have got now attention and attraction and this coursework as well because it deals with almost all the electronic devices which are used in your home, in your offices, in your schools, in your universities, in your markets, everywhere. So we are discussing the power devices, and from the power devices we are discussing the PNP diode. And in the last two lectures we have discussed the basic operation of PNP diode, its basic structures, its symbols, its variation of current transfer ratio with injection, and the forward blocking state. Today we will discuss the conducting state, forward conducting state, and the triggering mechanism which is used in this PNP diode to give avalanche of the current which is applied at the start. As we have discussed earlier, this is three-terminal device with A as anode, K as cathode, three junctions J1, J2, J3. Here we have got PNP diode, and here it is the third grade terminal. And so far when we are discussing the PNP diode, we have just forgotten the use of this third terminal. Now this is actually known as Shockley diode, name after the scientist who just discovered it, and here it is the basic structure of your PNP diode. And as I have mentioned in earlier lecture that it is just analogous to the two transistor, that is PNP and NPN transistor, and so here it is the equivalent transistor circuit containing both the transistor PNP and NPN. Now this is the actual IV characteristic which we have actually got after the operation of PNP diode. That is, when we have applied the positive voltage along the ammeter, then the current will start flowing, and it will start flowing from the anode to the cathode. And as we have given it positive voltage anode with respect to cathode, so it is easier for current to move from the anode to cathode. But if we see just the basic construction of our PNP diode, then it is basically four layer device which has got PNP diode. Here we have got P, here we have got N, then P, then N, and then here are we have got three junction. One is called the junction J1, then junction J2, then junction J3. We have got three junction. So initially when current start flowing from the anode toward the cathode, then there is a small blocking current. As we can see here, small forward blocking current is flowing. The reason is that initially the two junction, that is junction near to the anode and near to cathode, are forward bias, and the in between junction, that is junction J2, it is reverse bias. So due to this reason the very small value of current flows. But as we reach at certain breakdown voltage, at certain specific voltage, then at this voltage the basically our junction J2 also become forward bias, and due to this forward bias junction, current increases. And after at a certain point, we will get a saturation current in this way. And so this is the conducting state of our PNPN diode, and we have to consider this conducting state today. Here you can see the forward voltage applied on this side, reverse voltage applied on this side, and forward current is flowing on this side, reverse current is flowing on the side. Now, as we have studied previously, that if anode to cathode are made negative, then what will happen? The reverse current will flow through the device, and this reverse current is small enough. If we increase the reverse voltage at a certain voltage, which is now represented VRA, at avalanche breakdown of our device take place, because a large reverse current will start flowing, which will heat up the device and will damage the device. So it is always required to keep the voltage at lower reverse voltage to keep the device safe. Now here we have got two types of current flowing here. Here I have got to define the two terminology used in the current. One is the holding current and second is latching current. Holding current is associated with the turning off process of SCR, and latching current is associated with the turning process of SCR. Similarly, for the holding current, thyristor can be turned off, returned to forward blocking state only if the forward current falls below a level current hold called the holding current. But in case of latching current, it is a minimum value of anode current which it must attain during turnover process to maintain conduction when gate pulse is removed. And thirdly, holding current is less than the latching current, and latching current is 2 to 3 times more than the holding current. So these are the two terminologies which are used while considering this IV characteristics. Here if you can see, uh, this one, the lower side is the latching current, and here this is the this is the holding current lower side, which is working for the off state characteristics, and there for the upper state we have got a latching current which deals when your device is in forward conducting state. Now these are the three bias states of PNPN diode. In at A we have got the forward blocking state. Now here you can see, as discussed earlier, J1 and J3 forward bias while J2 is reverse bias due to the this large depletion region. But when we increase the voltage, positive voltage between anode and cathode, then what will happen? The J2 will also go to the conducting state, and we will reach to the forward conducting state. How we will reach to the forward conducting state? For this purpose, we should know that charge transport mechanism changes dramatically when transistor action begins. As alpha 1 plus alpha 2 approaches unity by one of the mechanism described above, that is either increasing the ammeter injection efficiency gamma, or B transport factor B, because you know that alpha current transfer ratio is equal to product of gamma and B. So as alpha 1, alpha 2 approaches unity, many holes injected at J1, junction J1 survive to swap across J2 into P2. This helps to feed the recombination and P2 and to support the injection of holes into N2. Similarly, the transistor action of electron injected at J3 and collected at J2 supplies electron for N1. Obviously, the current through the device can be much larger once this mechanism begins. The transfer of injected carriers across J2 is regenerative in that a greater supply of electrons to N1 allows greater injection of holes at J1 while maintaining space charge neutrality. This greater injection of holes further feeds P2 by transistor action and the process continues to repeat itself. That is, in this case here, holes are moved from this P1 to N1 and then it crosses and reaches to the P2. Similarly, here electron move from the N2 to by P2 to N1, supply more electron to N1. So the depletion region is reduced by supply of these electrons and holes. So if alpha 1 plus alpha 2 is large enough so that many electrons are collected in N1, as I mentioned earlier, electrons move from N2 to N1 and many holes are collected in P2 which are moving from P1 and N1 and then P2. The depletion region at junction J2 begins to decrease. Finally, when this depletion region decreases, the reverse bias disappears across J2 and replaced by a forward bias. When this occurs, the three small forward bias voltage appear. As here it is shown in figure, we can see the two forward bias voltages, that is V1, V2 and V3. Two of these voltages essentially cancel in the overall V so that the forward voltage drop of device from anode to cathode in the conducting state is not much greater than that of a single PN junction, because here three voltages can be seen, two voltages cancel another and just one voltage is left. So this is not stronger than the voltage applied to single PN junction. For silicon, this forward drop is less than 1 volt until ohmic losses become important at high current levels. So far, we have discussed in a previous lecture the forward blocking state when two junctions are forward bias, one is reverse bias, and today the forward conducting state when both all the three junctions are forward bias. But we have not indicated how switching is initiated from one state to the other. Basically, the requirement is that the carrier injection at J1 and J2 must somehow be increased so that the significant transport of injected carriers across J2 occurs. Once this transport begins, the regenerative nature of the process takes over and switching is completed. So this is the actual region that how switching take place. Now we will discuss the triggering mechanism of the PNP diode. It means triggering mechanism means that how device is moved from the forward blocking state to the forward conducting state. There are several methods by which PNPN diode can be switched from the forward blocking state to the forward conducting state. For example, an increase in the device temperature can cause the triggering by sufficiently increasing the carrier generation rate and the carrier lifetime. These effects cause a corresponding increase in current device and in the alpha, as we have discussed in 4 or 5 minutes before. Similarly, optical excitation can be used to trigger a device by increasing the current through electron hole pair generation. The most common method of triggering a two-terminal PNPN device, however, is simply to raise the bias voltage to such an extent that we reach to the breakup voltage or we reach to VP voltage, whatever we call it, which is represented here when our forward conducting state starts. This type of voltage triggering results in the breakdown of the reverse bias junction J2. The accompanying increase in current provides the injection at J1 and J3 and transport required for switching to the conducting state. The breakdown mechanism commonly occurs by a combination of base width narrowing and avalanche multiplication. When carrier multiplication occurs in J2, many electrons are swept into N1 and holes into P2, as I have discussed earlier that electrons move from here to N1 and hole moves from emitter to P2. This process provides the majority carrier to these regions needed for increased injection by the emitter junctions. Because of the transistor action, the full breakdown voltage of J2 need not to be reached. Because breakdown occurs in the collector junction of transistor with base current IB is equal to 0 when M alpha is equal to 1. M is the multiplication factor and alpha is the current transfer ratio. And when we have got the coupled transistors, then how this equation will be written? So here this is the forward conducting state represented, and here is the equation for the coupled transistor of the PNPN diode. Breakdown occurs at J2 when MP alpha 1 is equal to Mn alpha 2 is equal to 1, where MP is the whole multiplication factor and Mn is the multiplication factor of electrons. So this sum should be equal to 1. As the bias voltage increases in the forward blocking state, the depletion region about J2 spreads to accommodate the increased reverse bias on the central junction. The spreading means the neutral base region on either side, either on N side or P2 side, and one side or P2 side becomes thinner. Since alpha 1 and alpha 2 increase as these base will decrease, triggering can occur by the effect of base width narrowing. A true punch through of the base region is seldom required, since moderate narrowing of these regions can increase the alpha enough to cause switching. Furthermore, switching may be result of a combination of avalanche multiplication and the base width narrowing, along with the possible leakage current through J2 at high voltage. Now from this equation it is clear that with avalanche break multiplication present, The sum of alpha 1 plus alpha 2 need not to approach unity to initiate breakdown of J2. Once breakdown begins, the increase of carriers in N1, that is electron, and P2, that is hole, drives the device to forward connecting state by regenerative process of coupled transistors. As switching proceeds, the reverse bias is lost across J2 and junction break-to mechanism are no longer active. Therefore, base narrowing and avalanche breakdown serve only to start the switching process. It means our avalanche multiplication and base narrowing is used to switch the process. If the forward bias voltage is applied rapidly to device, switching can occur by a mechanism commonly called dV by dt triggering, which is called the dV by dt triggering. So, basically, this type of triggering occurs as the depletion region of J2 adjusts to accommodate the increasing voltage. As the depletion width of J2 increases, electrons are removed from the N1 side and holes are removed from the P2 side of the junction. For a slow increase in voltage, the resulting flow of electrons toward J1 and holes toward J2 does not constitute a significant current. If dV over dt is large, however, the rate of charge removal from each side of J2 can cause the current to increase significantly. In terms of junction capacitance, that is junction J2 capacitance, which is represented by CJ2. The transit current is given by this equation. Here you can see current I is d by dt, and here C J2 capacitance of junction J2 and voltage applied across junction J2. This is equal to the capacitance of junction J2 and change of the voltage, and the voltage of the junction J2 applied across J2, and the change of capacitance along the junction J2. This type of current flow is often called the displacement current. The rate of change of capacitance across the junction J2 must be included in calculating current, since the capacitance varies with time as the depletion width changes. The increase in current due to rapid rise in voltage can cause switching well below the steady state triggering voltage, which we are defined as the breakdown voltage, VBFO or VP, whatever you want to call it. Some books you will find it as VPs, and some books you will find it as VFO. In any case, therefore, a DVT rating is usually specified along with the breakdown voltage for PNP diode. Obviously, DVT triggering can be a disadvantaged circuit subjected to unpredictable voltage transits. The various triggering mechanism discussed in this section apply to two-terminal PNP diode. As we can see in our next lecture, the semiconductor control rectifier, which is triggered by an external signal applied in third terminal, which we have so far neglected in today's discussion or ignored consciously, not to discuss the effect of third terminal in today's lecture. So here we come to end of our lecture. Now again girls, Google Class is waiting for you to answer my questions or solve the quiz I will give there, and you know the time allotted there is half an hour.